I see a few people in the chat, I will start off my intro.
Yeah.
I think this would be a good time to start it off. Anyways, hello everyone. We got one person, and that's one of the cast members, I believe. Hello everyone, welcome to As the Cast Protectors Season 4, Episode 4. Kinda convenient. This is the 4th season, and we're on its 4th episode. As always, for those who are new and for those who have been on these episodes a lot, as always, make sure you ask your questions to the guests themselves and not to myself. I'm not the main person here, I'm just the host. Yeah, hang on. Here, blow myself. Data. Hello, Christian. And I gotta change that up. This image. Alright. While I'm doing that, I will start off with the first question of what inspired you to create the series Toby Jones?
Well, to be honest, I've always, my entire life, always dreamed of making a series, making like some kind of animated series story or whatever. As for Toby Jones, it really just was like just kind of like a thing that happened when I was talking with my friends. Because, I mean, I already had like Toby as a character, as like an OC and everything.
Mm-hmm.
And I was talking with my friends and everything, and we were like, "Oh, wouldn't it be so funny if we just made this like an actual series?" And joke went on from there, and it actually became a serious thing. So
Okay. And how long have you been working on this?
As for the like animated series part of it, that was actually a pretty recent idea that we started last summer. But for the whole story, like Toby Jones himself and everything, that's been since I think November 2023 was when we started working on the Toby Jones. But Toby as a character, he's existed since like 2016, 2017.
Nice. Alright. What inspired the design that you created for him? It didn't like. I know you said like when you talked in DMs, you were talking about you were wanting to like upgrade it, if I remember correctly. But what inspired the design?
Yeah. Well, I think probably the most obvious thing, because everyone points this out and they're completely right. Scott Pilgrim is a huge inspiration for both the design and the art style of Toby Jones and everything.
Love the movie. Haven't checked out the series yet.
Yeah, I watched the movie. I've read the graphic novels, watched the anime. I love the series. Yeah, it serves as a major influence for like the art style and everything. But as for like Toby's design, I don't know. I think it's just a little basic. T-shirt, hoodie, all sort of stuff like that. The belt that he wears, like the triangle multicolored belt, that's actually from Vocaloid, like Hatsune Miku and stuff like that. I took a design aspect from there.
Okay. Alright. funny enough, like when it comes to my character and his outfits, I don't like take any inspiration from anybody, like any original designs. I just think of it on the flow, on the fly, and it just comes out the way I want it,
Yeah.
and it came out perfect. Ooh, we got our first question here from Zeta. They ask, "What franchise do you enjoy?"
Oh, that's a hard one. Because you asked me that question and I immediately forget everything ever. Um, well, I said Scott Pilgrim because that's one of the biggest ones. I I really like the Cartoon Network shows like Adventure Time and Steven Universe. They probably don't. Yeah, they probably don't transfer like design wise and stuff, but story wise, I really like the storytelling aspects of everything, especially Steven Universe. I grew up on Steven Universe.
Yeah.
Um, and then, of course, The Amazing Digital Circus. That's another series that I've recently gotten into.
I need to catch up on that. I have not watched the episodes yet. And with the new series that they got out, Gaslight District, that's a whole lot of new stuff.
Yeah, I still need to watch that one. It looks really cool.
Guys, remember, no questions for me. Anyways, and hopefully this won't be into the any spoiler points to it. So what's the story behind the series?
Well, the thing, it's not really like an overarching adventure sort of deal. Like, there's no clear goal that gets solved in like 20 episodes or whatever. Really, it's more so just like a slice of life kind of thing. Like, it's just, Toby living his life, his family, all that sort of stuff. Just like their miscellaneous adventures and everything.
Starts off slow and then goes off onto a whole big adventure.
Yeah. And I mean, obviously we do have like big stuff planned in the future, but for the most part, we just want to be like, oh, these characters are literally just normal characters. These are like their daily lives and everything.
Alright. Ooh, yeah, two interesting questions. Yeah, from Data, they ask what's your favorite desserts, and from Sega Sonic, they ask what's your favorite video game.
Ooh, for favorite dessert, I don't really eat a lot of desserts or anything like that. But I guess just like mint chocolate chip ice cream, that's just like the go-to flavor, if that counts.
Pretty sure you and Dale get along.
Yeah, a lot of people say it's like, oh, you like that flavor of ice cream? That's like the toothpaste flavor. Like, no, yeah, maybe, I don't know. Yeah. As for my favorite video game, I don't know. Recently I've been playing a lot of Dead by Daylight, but I really like Fortnite. I used to rag on it and hate it, but I started playing it a couple years ago, and it's one of my favorites.
I bet you've been playing the new season that they got going on right now, haven't you?
The Star Wars season, not really a fan of it. Yeah, I did like the last season though. That was pretty fun.
In your honest opinion, when it comes to Fortnite, what kind of franchise do you want them to bring in this time? One that you've been really wanting?
Well, I kind of thought they would never get Hatsune Miku, but they did. So she was kind of like my number one. I guess just like, I don't know, because there's more Vocaloids than just Miku. So if they could get any more of those, that'd be pretty cool.
They'll probably end up adding more, just like how they did with some of the other ones, like Dragon Ball. They added more characters to that one. And if I remember correctly, they added more when it came to the Star Wars collaboration. If I remember correctly.
Yeah.
Because Mandalorian was still technically Star Wars, so it counts.
A lot of Star Wars, a lot of Marvel, all that sort of stuff.
They just keep still adding. Now, here's an interesting question from Cherry. They ask, what's your favorite part of the Toby Jones creation process?
If I'm right, I'm pretty sure that Cherry is the Cherry that I know. If it is, hi Cherry.
Probably is.
Um,
Probably is.
My favorite part of the creation process, I really, well, it's the hardest part because I can't reveal all the characters yet because, you know,
True.
spoilers and all that
True.
kind of stuff. But I really just love creating it is Cherry. Hi, Cherry. I really just love creating like new characters, all that sort of stuff. Like the process will be, we'll have an idea, we'll make the character, everyone gets attached to it, and then we end up like plotting a whole episode based around that character. And it's just, you know, making the character, making them fit into the lore and the story and all that kind of stuff. And of course, designing it's like the best part of it. But yeah, I'd say the character creation process.
I know you kind of technically answered that one in regards to like the characters. Out of all of them, like, is there one that you had the most difficult drawing? Especially since you do a lot of the drawing.
If I'm being honest, probably the two characters that I struggle drawing the most are TD and Jonah. Yeah, TD mainly because half of his, you know, head is covered by his hat and everything, so it sometimes gets a little hard to, like, you know, make it
without having to wear a hat on his head.
Yeah, make it not look weird or anything like that. And as for Jonah, and you know, I talked to you about this. We're like kind of semi redesigning some of the characters.
Yeah.
Jonah, he's just kind of like, I don't know. I'm not really vibing with his design, so it'll probably stay mostly the same with just like small changes here and there.
Right.
But yeah, his head and his
it later if you ever want to.
yeah, Jonah's just like a character that I tend to not draw because I don't like him. Well, I don't not like him. I just don't like his design at the moment.
Right. Alright, let's see. Actually, here's a question in regards to like the background. How how difficult is it for you to draw? Like, think of the design of the backgrounds, like the cities or towns or mountains. Is it difficult for you to draw?
For me, definitely. I've never been good at drawing backgrounds ever. But yeah, really just like me and the whole like art department of the team, we all just work together. It's a lot of like talking to each other, saying, "Oh, does this look good? Oh, does this look good?"
Looks like we got that one from the team.
My gosh. But yeah, as for like the style of the backgrounds, I'd say they're kind of simplistic, so they're not too difficult to draw. You know, it's a more cartoonish art style or everything like that. Me personally have never been good at drawing backgrounds, but I'm hoping to, you know, improve that skill with Toby Jones.
Right, and with the art team, it will help you out with giving you inspiration to be able to improve more on that.
Oh, definitely.
Ooh, here's another question from Cherry. They asked, if you had to describe the overall vibe of Toby Jones in 3 songs, what songs would you choose?
Oh, goodness. Leave it to Cherry to ask that kind of question. Let me open my Spotify real quick, because I don't know like 3 specific songs, but I know like the band Good Kid is a huge like music-wise inspiration for Toby Jones. God, I can't think of like specific songs though, but it's just kind of like the whole indie pop rock music kind of scene or whatever. Yeah, I'd have to go through my Spotify to find specific songs.
All right. Ooh, from Sega Sonic, they ask, have you ever taken any art classes like I did before in middle school and high school? Yeah, was man, I guess that last part was them, like describing how they took art class. But have you ever taken art class?
Yeah, I did. Throughout middle school and high school, I took art classes. I was part of like the art club after school and all that kind of stuff. Um, and just this past semester, I took a drawing course. So that was pretty fun, like learning new stuff I had never done or techniques I'd never practiced before.
Right.
But yeah, I love taking, the art classes and all that kind of stuff, learning what I can improve and everything. I actually did sign up for an online storyboarding class, so that's been really helpful.
Yeah, that'll definitely help out with bringing up some more ideas for yourself.
Absolutely.
Alright, so, from Zeta, they ask, well, didn't you technically already answer that? They ask, which character do you enjoy drawing? I don't know if you answered that one.
I answered the ones that I don't like drawing.
True.
As for the ones that I do like drawing, well, Toby obviously because he's like the main character,
Obviously.
but I really like drawing Kenny, mainly because I love how his face looks. Just like the snout and the sunglasses and everything. I just think he looks really funny. And two, I guess also Kenta, because his pupils are just like the white circles instead of the normal eyes, and he has like the unibrow and everything. So it's fun working on like expressions for him and everything.
It's a little more easier with that, especially with the unibrow.
Yeah.
Alright, here's another question. How long? I know you mentioned about like having to work on it for quite a while, but like when did you start and having a team to help out with your story?
Well, I mentioned we started working on the Toby Jones story back in November 2023, and at that point I had two of the people, Remy and Lauren. They're two of the people on the team. They joined in at that point, and this last summer, when we started focusing it on like an animated series, that was when our other team member Artsy joined in on it. So we've kind of had most of the team since like the beginning.
Nice. These two are crazy. Gotta love them. Alright, from Charity. So far, what are you most proud of in relation to Toby Jones?
Thanks, Cherry. I'd say I'm probably just like Cherry, honorary team member. I'd say I'm really most proud of just like, actually having, talking about it in the public, like posting it on TikTok and Twitter and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Because really just like, I think the hardest part when you're like getting started is actually, getting it out there, getting people to know about it and everything. Yeah, I posted when we like first released the casting call and everything, I posted about it on TikTok, and that was basically my first time like talking about Toby Jones publicly. And I was just astonished with like how much that video blew up and everything.
Hey, that blew up on Twitter as well.
Yeah, we posted the casting call on the Casting Call Club, and we were honestly only expecting probably like 20 auditions like total, and then we ended up with like 1,100. So it blew us away with how much it got popular. So I'm really just glad. Yeah, I'm really just glad and really proud that it's out there and some people are like aware of it, because that makes me happy for like, oh, we finished this, maybe people will actually watch it.
Now you got a whole lot of people looking forward to it, especially for those who couldn't really be able to audition, but they can still watch.
Yeah.
Make sure you guys do subscribe to his channel. I put it down in the description. Make sure you guys show some support.
Yeah, make sure to smash that like button, hit the bell, all that sort of stuff.
Exactly. Alright, while we're waiting on another question. Actually, thinking of the name Toby Jones, what gave you the idea of the name Toby Jones? Like, did you have any other name ideas that you had from before you came up stuck with the name?
Well, I've actually had the name Toby. Before Toby became, Toby Jones and everything, he was just like a general OC that I had as a kid. I've used the name Toby probably since like the 2nd or the 3rd grade. Just because I really like the name Toby. But the way I got the name was because I got it from that one YouTuber Tobuscus. Because I used to watch him as a kid, but in recent years he's kind of had a very interesting down spiral. But yeah, I got the name Toby from Tobuscus. As for the Jones part of his name, I can't remember. It's either I got it from that one animated movie Coraline, because the girl's name is Coraline Jones. Yeah. I either got it from that, or I was just sitting in my room thinking about names and just thought about Jones. One interesting thing though was I got the name Toby Jones and I used it for a while, and then probably like a month or two later, I realized that the name Toby Jones is the same name as like a English actor or something, like a really popular one. Yeah. So, but I mean, at that point, it was too late to change it. So,
hey, nothing wrong with having the same last name as long as it's not the same first name.
Yeah.
All right, let's see. Ooh, 2 interesting questions, especially from Cherry. And from Cherry, they ask, "What years will the Toby Jones story take place in, and what type of art style do you like?" That's from Zeta.
I have it written down somewhere. Let me see. I'm pretty sure that the pilot episode, it takes place in August of 2023, like chronologically and all that sort of stuff. As for the main story, I'd probably see it taking place over like a year. So probably 2023, 2024, that sort of time frame.
Okay.
As for the type of art style that I like, I really like, well, I've mentioned Scott Pilgrim probably like 500 times, but I really like, excuse me, Brian Lee O'Malley's art style. I just love just like the brush strokes, the expressions, the huge pupils, all that kind of stuff. Yeah, I don't know. As a kid, I used to always draw with like a really thick outline brush. So I just love stuff that has like really pop expressions, outlines, all that sort of stuff, if that makes sense. I don't know, like a specific art style.
It does. Just kidding. Alright. While we're waiting on the next question. Honestly, this is one thing I've been wondering. What was your reaction to actually being able to actually make your character go from an OC to an actual animation character?
Honestly, kind of just like really surprised. Because before we like announced that it was going to be like a animated series and stuff, back in November of 2023, I posted an animation on TikTok with like kind of like their really older designs.
Yeah.
And I posted it on TikTok, and it was just like a little OC animation or whatever. I just made it for fun with my friends and 2 others. And surprisingly, it got a decent amount of likes. I was not expecting it at all, but people liked it. People were like, "Oh my gosh, this art style reminds me of Scott Pilgrim and all that kind of stuff." I was like, "Wow, people like this. Cool." Um, and then of course, just like posting the video announcing the casting call and everything. So many like people liking the video, auditioning. It was just like, wow, all these people really like my character. Whoa. Um, yeah.
Now you'll be able to help bring it to life into a full-on
Yeah.
animation series.
Yeah, the voice actors, oh my god, they are so incredible. Like, it just leaves me in awe. Like, oh my gosh, these people are my characters. It's so crazy.
Your dream's about to become a reality with all this.
Yeah, basically.
Alright. Yeah. I don't know. I don't know if I'm gonna be saying your name right. Like, can I just call you AC for short? I guess I don't want to butcher your name.
Acrylic dolls, yeah. That's Lauren.
I'll just call you. That's her name, Lauren.
Yeah.
I'll just call you Lauren that way. Don't try to butcher the name. Anyways, from Lauren, they asked, could you possibly tell us which music genres the characters listen to?
For Toby, I'd say he probably listens to just like pop rock, all that sort of stuff, kind of like cheesy music or whatever. For PJ, he's probably really into like metal and rock and all that kind of stuff. Well, really, all of them are into rock and all that kind of stuff because they're rock musicians. But for TD, I'd say he's probably super into like electro music, like electronica and all that sort of stuff.
Alright.
And of course, Kenny, even though he's not really a musician, he is super huge into country music.
Alright. Let's see. While we're... yes, I was about to say that. What? I guess I don't know if you are... Yeah, I'll just answer it. Yeah, ask the question. And from Jared, they asked, since this is a Sonic-centric podcast, I don't even know what they're saying on that one. And to James, what got you into the Sonic franchise if you read the comics or play any of the games?
Well, I've never really read any of the Sonic comics, but I've been a huge Sonic fan since I was born. I think my very first Sonic game that I remember playing was Sonic Colors when that first came out.
Yeah, you don't play Sonic Colors Ultimate. There's nothing different about it.
Yeah, I played the Wii version and the DS version, but of course I was like, 5-6 years old, so I never beat them. But yeah, I've been a huge Sonic fan since I was a kid. My third grade, my backpack, my lunchbox and everything, it was Sonic themed. In second grade, I dressed up as Sonic for Halloween, all that sort of stuff. I'd say probably in recent years, I've kind of like not been as much of a super huge fan, mainly just because, I've just kind of grown out of it. But I still am a, pretty huge Sonic fan. And I'm probably one of like the 5 people who love Sonic Forces, so.
Yeah, I still love it, especially when they introduced, like, the Rookie, also known as Gadget, but there's also other avatars, but he was like the main one on the cover, even if he was a different color.
Yeah. Infinite is one of my favorite Sonic characters.
Sad they killed him off at the end.
Yeah, I hope they bring him back someday.
No, they even Sega themselves confirmed it. He's not coming back, which sucks.
Yeah.
He had a lot of potential, but they ended up killing him off as a one-time character.
Oh yeah, as Lauren said in the chat, I actually met her through like Sonic the Hedgehog, basically. And now she's helping on Toby Jones.
That's a certain Sonic-related thing is how. Yep. And speaking of Sonic, out of all the characters, which one was your favorite one aside from the Blue Blur himself?
I'd say probably my top 3 Sonic characters are Infinite, Knuckles, and Big the Cat. Those are my top 3 favorites of all time.
I still question how Big is able to be everywhere and anywhere. Like in the comics, he's super strong, and even in the games, the fact that he's able to appear in places that shouldn't even be possible, especially since he's not normally there. Aside from Sonic Frontiers, where that was just a data space version of himself, when it came to other games like Sonic X Shadow Generations, you don't mind any spoilers, do you? Maybe especially if you haven't played it yet.
Oh yeah, I don't mind any spoilers.
All right. Him showing up in the like the white void, in the white space, where Shadow's your adventure goes at. Like, I question how he even got there. Like, the guy, he's something else. He's literally built different.
I think that's why I like Big so much. Is just he's always there with like little to no explanation.
Exactly. In the earlier games like Sonic Heroes and Sonic Adventure 1, like he was there because of story-wise. But when it comes to other games, he's just there. He's just there. Cherry says, Sonic X Toby Jones collab win.
Well, I mean, kinda. Sonic has kind of loosely influenced Toby Jones. I know I draw the characters kind of having like big shoes and everything, so that's probably like influence from Sonic.
Right. All right. Yeah, they added Sega Sonic, bringing up how they added Tingle and Whisper and Sonic Speed Simulator. Gorilla Poop says, when we have to know Jaymz. I'm assuming that's another one of the people from the crew.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, Sonic X Toby Jones 2026 for us.
Actually, speaking of collabs, is there any other like any other indie developer or like content creator you would love to work with?
Not really that I know off the top of my head. Just because there's so many of them.
Yeah, it's hard to keep track of, even for me.
Yeah, but they're all so like super cool and everything. The voice actor that we have for Toby, Landon, he voices in another series called Fruits, I believe. And I've checked it out. I've watched it. It's really cool. I love the aesthetics of it and everything. So I guess if potentially, probably do something with that, I think it'd probably be fun. We have this character who has the same voice actor as this character.
That would be pretty interesting, and it would be a little more easy. And considering that like it's a 2D animation and not a 3D or live action thing, it'd be easy for him to actually voice 2 characters in one scene.
Yeah.
Keep these questions going, guys. Right now I'm still trying to think of some more. I wouldn't go into spoilers if I don't want any spoilers.
Yeah, I don't mind talking about spoilers. Just like nothing so super heavy spoilers.
Yeah. All right. Okay. Before I do ask my question in regards to that, Jerry says, were there any characters from other medias that inspired Toby's design? If not, Toby, anyone else?
For Toby, probably like nothing specifically. But TD is, well, most people have already pointed this out. I know Lauren, her sister, when we were working on the show, she looked over her shoulder and saw her working on TD, and she asked if that was Tails the Fox. Which, I mean, she wasn't entirely wrong. Yeah, TD was kind of based on Tails the Fox, especially if you look at his older design. Yeah, and then PJ, surprisingly, I don't think a lot of people have noticed this, but PJ, his design was kind of based off of Parappa the Rapper. Yeah, those two are kind of like the biggest inspirations, really. As for the rest of them, nothing too much. Kenny was kind of design-wise based off an old dog that I used to have, but other than that, nothing much really.
All right. Actually, there is one thing I've been wondering. Like when I look at the design for Toby, like the current design that you have for him, what are those things on his back? Are those wings?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure one of the voice actors actually asked me this question too. So when I drew, well, before Toby was meant to be like a like animated series and everything, he was just like a character that I had. I gave him his design or whatever, and I drew little bat wings because I thought they looked cool or whatever. And then as Toby Jones like sort of became an animated thing, I just kept drawing the bat wings. They really don't serve like any purpose other than just, you know, being there. As for like the actual series itself, I can't promise that they'll be there because I'll most likely probably forget to draw them every so often. But
it's technically supposed to be a wolf. It wouldn't make sense. Not wolf, fox. Yeah, like it would make sense for him to have that on there.
Yeah, they're just there for, well, just left over of his old design, but they don't really serve any purpose. They're just, you know, aesthetic because I think they look cool.
Definitely looking forward to seeing what the final design, like the official final design, will look like.
I could probably go ahead and share it right now.
Ooh, go right ahead.
Sure. Let me see.
I'll even pop it up on here on the screen to show other people to see.
Yeah. Yeah, we've kind of been in the process of trying to like finalize their designs and everything. Not too much has changed other than a couple small things and, you know, so, but for the most part, everything's pretty much the same.
All right.
Just give me a second here. I gotta sort through all my files.
Take your time. The Lord really wants to talk about a character, you know, that apparently you both know, but I guess that one would be in the big spoiler territory, so I'm not gonna ask about that one.
Yeah, probably. All right, I sent it over.
Ooh, let me grab this, and then I'm gonna share it on the screen. I am liking this. All right, give me 1 sec. Let's see. Okay. 1 sec, folks. Yep. Need to find images. There we go. Okay. Alright. Here we go. Let me shrink this down a bit.
Whoa.
Yeah, I gotta shrink it down. But here is a glimpse of the design for Toby. Which honestly is really good.
Yeah, thank you.
Like you can definitely see it has a more shade and darker shade to the design itself.
Yeah. Yeah, just like the whole, you know, his outfit. It's just kind of lore-wise something that he thinks looks cool, but realistically would probably make no sense to wear out in public.
Hey, main character gets to do whatever he wants.
Yeah. One other thing, well, it's not really spoilers, but one other thing that we kind of want to do for the series, if we end up making, you know, multiple episodes and stuff, we want to do this thing where it's like the characters have a different outfit every episode to like kind of add on to the realism aspect of it, so that way they're not in the same thing.
Make it look more realistic. Like just instead
Yeah,
of just
so that they're not in the
same
same
outfit every day.
outfits. Yeah.
All right. Ooh, Cherry asks, and what programs are you using to make Toby Jones? Procreate, Ibis Paint, etc.
I'd say probably the 4 programs that we kind of use. Well, I guess 5 are Procreate, Clip Studio Paint, Toon Squid, Moho Pro, and Adobe Premiere. Those are kind of like the 5 main ones.
Okay. How hard is it for you guys to use those? Especially in regards to trying to, like, create, draw the artwork for the animation and then trying to bring it to life in Adobe Premiere.
Not too terribly bad. Adobe Premiere is mainly just for like the editing aspects of everything, which, you know, I've been editing for my whole life basically, so I'm kind of comfortable doing it.
You gotten used to it.
But yeah, Toon Squid and Moho are just kind of like the animation program, or like the animation sided programs that we would use.
Yeah.
But for like Procreate and Clip Studio Paint, that's more for like the art centric stuff. Moho is a rigging software, so, you know, like Flash puppets and everything like that.
Right.
But for Toby Jones, we kind of want it to be like a mixture of puppet animation and also hand-drawn animation. Probably mainly hand-drawn, but, you know, just stuff like that.
Hand-drawn makes it more realistic, especially when you're doing it with your own bare hands to actually bring the art to life.
Yeah.
We've both seen a lot of it, like artists and animators and everything, seeing what they do with their stuff, how they bring their stories to life.
Yeah.
Alright. Also, hello Dixie. That's a friend of mine's.
Hi.
Ooh. What the heck? Cherry asked, out of all of the characters, who could smoke? Who could outsmoke Snoop Dogg?
Probably TD. Probably TD.
I just find it funny with that question, Lawrence. I don't even know. Alright. So, in regards to, like, since you said you can answer some spoilers, just not too, like, one's too big. I think. I know I had a question in regards to, like, okay, hello, Mo. If I'm saying your name right. Anyways, like, where would, okay, now I remember, like, for Toby, like, would he start off in the city, like, would he start off in the city, or would he, like, live outside of the city, in a way? Like, where would he be living at in the story?
So it's kind of a mix, because Toby is a college student.
Right.
So he lives both with his parents and in his college. As for the pilot and stuff, you know, living with his family, it kind of takes place in like a small town. So not like a big city or anything, just kind of like a small town out in the country or whatever.
Yeah.
But as for like, you know, his university and college life and everything, that's more of like a big city.
Alright, so starting off from like, yeah, like a small town, going up to the city to earn a degree.
Yeah.
Okay. That's a good way to start it off. Just can't have it like, can't have it just start off him like, being in like, the story starting off with him being in the city, like going to college and whatnot. Show off his childhood, like leading up to work, like going up to what he wants to do in his, like, and for his life.
Yeah. We kind of want to have it like a mixture of both, you know, some episodes in the town, some episodes in the city, all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, going in between. Yeah, someone says happy class of 2025. I'm class of 2009.
Oh wow.
Yep. Alright, well, we're waiting on some more questions. Dang it, there's some more questions. I guess in a way, like, would Toby be having, like, for the story itself, like, since it will also have a bit of an adventure into it, will he have to be having to, like, on an adventure that would involve him trying to save the world?
Probably not. I think that'd be a bit far-fetched because the series is meant to be a bit more kind of realistic based or whatever. I will say though, we do have like a lot of I guess just kind of like tense moments planned, if that's like the right word to describe it. You know, like the emotional, heavy hitting sort of aspect or whatnot. But yeah, if the world is in danger, then I don't think Toby Jones would be the one to save it.
What the heck? What?
My gosh, that's my friend Mo.
Okay, yeah, I was a little bit confused by that. Yeah, I guess, yeah, from what they asked, yeah, Lords and Lord Aids, I don't know if I'm pronouncing their name right. The upcoming album Virgin will be exploring Androgyny?
Androgyny.
Yeah, clearly, there's a lot of words I barely even say. And the border between gender. Do you plan to touch on anything like this in Toby Jones?
I'm gonna say probably. We do like have, you know, obviously like non-binary characters and all that kind of stuff planned. But yeah, I don't think we can expect a Toby Jones X Lord crossover anytime soon.
Yeah. Actually, speaking of characters, like, how many characters will be in the series itself, aside from the ones from the casting call and what you already had planned?
For the, you know, pilot and stuff, this is actually like one of our concerns that we had, because a lot of people were like, hey, how come there's like no female characters and stuff? And that was kind of like, oh crap. The pilot doesn't really have any female characters, mainly because it's only focused on, you know, the members of Toby's family plus Kenta. As for like the actual like number of characters that we have planned throughout, I'd say give me a sec, I gotta do math here.
Take your time, take your time.
I'd say we have currently probably about 37 characters planned. Yeah, we have a lot of stuff planned. But yeah, I'd say probably right now we have about 37 planned.
God damn, that's a lot. And that's gonna be a lot to draw.
Yeah, so we're definitely planning on spacing it out a bit.
Which just means for those who wanted to audition for any female characters, it still gives them a chance to do so.
Yeah, we hope to try to introduce like a new character to every episode to like keep things fresh.
Makes sense, makes sense.
Yeah.
Well, as yeah, very excited to see the female cast members.
Yeah, we have taken note of like people being upset there's no female characters in the pilot, so don't worry, this is only going to be like a one-time thing.
Well, like you said, it's the pilot episode. Doesn't mean this isn't the full thing yet. It's on yet. Alright, let's see. We got another question and a joke one from Cherry. Regular Coke or Cherry Coke? Pun intended. No pun intended. No, that's pun intended. That's kind of pun intended. It's your name is Cherry. And from Circuit Sonic, they ask, what's your favorite anime show?
As for the Coke question, probably Cherry Coke. As for my favorite anime, oh, that's a hard one because I don't really watch as much anime as I used to when I was younger.
I still
Um,
enjoy even to this day.
I really don't know. I hate to have like a basic answer, but I guess Attack on Titan.
Hey, I like that one too. You even got to watch it all the way to the end.
Yeah, season 4 was kind of a very emotional season, I guess. I mean, I read the manga beforehand, so I already knew what happened.
Alright, we got 10 more minutes, guys. You guys have some questions you can ask. Yeah, so, alright, for Multi ask, do you have any major influences in style? And could be writing or art-wise. That's actually an interesting question.
I'd say probably for like the writing of Toby Jones, I really like. I know most people don't like this, but I love it when stories like take time to explain things. They build up the tension and all that kind of stuff.
Which fits.
Because I really don't like stories where it's like everything major happens within like 5 minutes. Kind of just space it out a bit. So I guess
that moment, not just like
yeah. Yeah. So I guess influences writing wise, just kind of like spacing it out, taking time to like explain the story and build up the tension for it instead of just solving everything in like 10-11 minutes.
All right. And Gorilla Poop was actually answered already. He was asking about like the like Toby Jones set based on a specific time period.
Yeah, Toby Jones is kind of like the modern time period.
Alright, let's keep these questions going for the remainder of the time we have left. Alright, let's see. Actually, thinking about it, like for like animal wise for Toby, was there any other like animals you would have had him be before sticking with the fox design?
So, fun fact, a lot of people think the same thing. Toby is actually not a fox. He's meant to be a dog.
Well, they are technically still dogs when you think about it.
Yeah. I know a lot of people confuse that with TD as well. A lot of people think that TD is a cat. He's not. He is a fox. As for Toby, because I did mention earlier that he's a character that I've had since like 2016.
Indeed.
He's kind of just always been like a dog. I've never really thought of changing it or anything like that. As for like his specific dog breed, I think that's what the breed is called. He's meant to be a Jacoby, which is a mix between a Beagle and a Jack Russell Terrier.
Ooh, I would have to look that up. I don't think I've ever seen that kind of breed of dog.
Yeah.
Also,
Except he doesn't have like any white spots or anything. He's just, pure brown. But
alright. Cherry asked, what got you into art and animation?
I'd say probably because I mean I've been drawing since I was a kid and everything. But I'd say probably when I was younger, I used to watch a bunch of like how to draw videos and YouTube tutorials. I don't remember what the channel was called, but the videos that I remember watching the most were where it was like how to draw kawaii faces on everything. So it was mainly just drawing a bunch of objects and putting anime eyes on them and everything. As for the whole like animation aspect of it, I mean, I grew up watching cartoons, SpongeBob, Adventure Time, all that kind of stuff. So I always just thought, hey, I really want to do that. So, yeah.
Yep, you and me both. I watched cartoons since I was a kid, especially when it came to one of my favorite anime, Dragon Ball. Rest in peace, Akira Toriyama. That was my childhood right there. Alright. From Jared, they ask, how would you feel if Brian Lee O'Malley did Sonic the Hedgehog comic book? if they did a comic book series for Sonic the Hedgehog.
I think it'd be really cool. You know, like I said, I really like Lee O'Malley's art style and everything. I don't really read much of the Sonic comics. I know extremely very little about the IDW comics and everything. But if they somehow did get,
it'd be kind of hard to follow the story.
yeah, if they did somehow get Brian Lee O'Malley to do like a Sonic comic, I would probably read it. You know.
That's fair. Alright, from all they ask, without spoilers, obviously, is there a period / arc in the story that you are most excited for?
Well, answering without spoilers, I'd say there's probably at least 3 super important moments that I'm looking forward to. The first one doesn't happen until, you know, a couple episodes in. Or probably not a couple, probably a few episodes in, because, you know, build that story up.
Right.
But yeah, there's definitely a bunch of super exciting moments that I'm looking forward to, and so does most of the team.
Alright. And from Cherry, they said, speaking of other cartoons, what are some of your favorites?
Oh.
I know, I got too many favorite ones.
Yeah, I'm just like immediately forgetting every cartoon I've ever watched before.
Facts.
I know, you know, Cartoon Network, you know, Steven Universe, Adventure Time, Foster's, all that sort of stuff.
Or childhood.
There is this like one pilot that it's kind of gotten a bit more popular recently. I think it's called the Eltonville Club. It was an Adult Swim kind of series that didn't really do successful. But they had like an animated pilot back in the early 2000s, and I've seen it before. I like the art style of it and everything. So yeah, it's kind of more like the little unknown stuff, kind of cartoons and everything.
Right.
But I don't really watch a bunch of TV anymore.
Old cartoons, like the old style that they had for those. With the newer generation, it's just not the same anymore.
Yeah.
Like, even when it comes to SpongeBob, like, the way they do it now, it's like, it's not the same, especially without the original person who helped work on it. I forgot their name. Hey, they rest in peace, though.
Yeah. I haven't really watched any of the newer SpongeBob. I know there's a lot of controversy and discourse about it online.
Same, I haven't watched any of the newer ones. Not even the newer movies that they released. The only new movie I've seen from SpongeBob was the one with Sandy's family, and that's it.
Oh, I've not seen that one.
It was pretty good. Yeah, getting to see a whole adventure just like surrounding Sandy herself instead of just like all of the usual other characters with SpongeBob.
Yeah.
Alright, we got room for one more question. Actually, this will be the last question. Along with Molds. How long do you think you'd be working on like Toby Jones, even from like the production all the way up to like I guess years later?
Well, mainly because we just have like so much stuff planned for Toby Jones, like, you know, story-wise and everything. It is something that I would like to work on for probably a good handful of years, if not, you know, a decade or whatnot. Because, you know, I would love to just like, you know, tell the story and everything, but obviously that takes time and everything. As for the pilot, I'd say probably it'll come out sometime in 2026. It's not like a super huge pilot. I think it's probably going to be around 7 or 8 minutes, so kind of on the shorter side. But
a good way to kick off the series once it gets to the actual story.
Yeah, but and of course, you know, because this next year will be my senior year, so you know, I'll have to balance that and my schoolwork.
Yep, schoolwork does come in first. And as for the last question, which I think Mo read my mind on, is if Toby Jones were to be televised, what channel would you want it to be on? Adult Swim, Cartoon Network, Hulu, or another paid service? And what would your reaction be if you were to be able to actually put that on there?
Well, I think that'd be probably. I think I'd probably faint if I found out that happened, because of course, you know, my main dream as a kid was like to make something animated, but adding on to that would be to make something animated on TV. As for like what series or like network or whatever it would be on, probably, if not Adult Swim, then I guess like TBS or anything. Because Toby Jones, it's not gonna be like fully, you know, kid friendly. I guess if I don't know how to explain it. There is gonna be, you know, kind of more mature dialogue and everything. Yeah, the characters, they most likely probably will swear here and there. I'd say Toby Jones is more for like a teen, young adult audience, I guess. So probably Adult Swim
PG-13.
or TBS. Yeah, PG-13.
Alright. Alright. And that's all the questions we can go on to. It's been an hour. I hope you enjoyed being able to answer these questions as well as talk about your story.
Yeah, this was really fun. I'd love to, you know, do something like this again sometime.
Yeah. We could definitely talk about that. Alright, I hope you guys enjoyed being able to ask your questions, as well as get to hear more about the series Toby Jones. Is there anything you would like to say? Anything you would like to promote?
I'd say just like, if you can, just stick around and hang on. You know, obviously Toby Jones, animation and stuff takes time, and since we're just now finishing like the school semester and everything, we're finally able to get back into, you know, the creation process and everything. Over the summer, we do plan to share a bunch of, you know, updates, behind the scenes stuff, all that kind of stuff. So yeah, just stay tuned, I guess.
Yeah. And again, make sure you guys hit that subscribe button on his channel, which is again in the description of the stream here. Make sure you guys hit that like, get this man to 1,000 subscribers or more. Genuinely. And also check out his Twitter page, which is also in the description as well. That way you can catch up on any updates on the series as well.
And join the Toby Jones community server.
I'll make sure to put that in the description later. That way you guys can join in on that as well. But anyways, I'll see you guys next time. I'll be making sure to keep you guys updated on the next episode, hopefully soon. Until then, I'll see you guys next time.
Yeah, thanks for having me on.
Likewise. Later, everyone.